Well, how's it going, boys and girls? Welcome back to another Friday Live at 3. And truth be told, I'm amazed I made it this week. The amount of stuff that I was able to, or Tracy and I were able to accomplish this week has been staggering. All the different projects on 2 different channels. And also we've been working with upgrading our streaming equipment. So if you've been watching us for a while, you know, we went through a bit of a learning curve as far as having lag and the camera's not looking right. Well, we've got cameras all over the place now. We're actually just been playing around with them a little bit today. And I'll do you a kind of a quick tour of what I've been working on all week, because I think I covered everything from street to dirt to water. So let's do a little walk through. And well, before we do that, why are we upgrading our system? Well, I'm not going to tell you who yet, but we're going to start partnering with a few other presenters, YouTube channels, people in the industry, and we thought it would be interesting if we would bring them all here and maybe have a little just talk session, talk shop. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. So that'll be coming down the pipe probably in the next couple of months. But we want to make sure we've got everything ready to go in the studio before we start bringing other people in here. So let's walk through and do a little quick test on the cameras, and then I'll get back over here and answer a few questions. That sound like a deal? All right, let's do it. After 5 years of sitting in one of our warehouses, Tracy and I finally started in on our ZX14. And what started off as just one of our standard units has evolved into, well, a barn find, because we've committed so many sins to this poor machine. We rolled it back in a corner, let the tires go flat, battery sat for 5 years, and you can only imagine what that fuel is going to smell like when we actually get in there and open it up. But it has finally made its way onto the bench, and Tracy and I are going to dive into that one. But what I've been working on the most is right behind me. Now this one, remember that 2016 YXZ I started on forever and a day ago? Well, she is pretty much finished, and I'm going to send it out this weekend. There's still a few things that need to be done to it, but the new owner actually is our director of operations back in the back. His name's John, and he has earned this one. So he's going to take it and at least go break it in. And I'm sure he's probably watching this live right now, and he's giving his best Dr. Evil impersonation, because he's about to have a fit to get his hands on this one. And I can't wait to turn it over to him. But he will have to bring it back to me and let me change the oil, and then I can get it logoed up and turn it over to him for real. Now, and back in the back, I told you I was working on everything this week. Rebuilt the clutch, if you've never heard of that before, and a Bravo 2. So that right there is about to get loaded up and head down to Niceville, which is across the bay from Destin, Florida, and get reinstalled on my boat. So like when I said I've been busy this week, I have been busy. All right, but before I can take off, I've got to answer a few questions here. That sound like a deal to y'all? All right. Well, let's get to it. So I need to get that machine outside and that drive in the back of my truck. But before I can do all that, we're going to answer a few questions. So let's flip over to whatever got sent in this week via Hank, and then whatever y'all want to ask me today, live. And as usual, if I don't know, we'll jot it down. I'll figure it out and start off next week. 5211 Mickey, do you drop the oil from the diff for an axle change on a CanAm? It's not necessary. You're going to lose a little bit of fluid, but it's not mandatory. But honestly, if you're going in there to have to open it up anyway, you're right there. I would go ahead and change it. But is it absolutely necessary? No. Your package has been delivered. Michael Engel, what is the symptom of the stator going bad? It's always going to be a charging issue. In some cases, it could be sending too much, which is very unlikely, or usually not enough. And that's actually sending AC voltage. And what you want to look for, if you're able to do a dynamic test while the engine is running, somewhere in between, depending on the machine, in between 30 and up to 50 volts AC. But the first symptom of it going bad is it's just not charging. But honestly, if you're not charging, it's 80% probability that it's going to be your regulator rectifier. But you can always start with the stator, do a quick measurement on that. If it checks out, then you can pretty much say, all right, it's going to be the regulator rectifier. Rail rotor, is it possible to overfill the rear differential? Well, yes. I had to pour almost an entire bottle of oil, 8 ounces, before it came out the weep hole. Okay, I'm running a 15 Rancher. It takes 8 ounces to fill up the Rancher, believe it or not. So no, you didn't overfill it. And that's what the weep hole, that is your level anyway. Now, I have seen, I do want to make one caveat. I have seen a couple of different manufacturers where they've got a fill area and then the weep hole separately. I mean, and they're at different levels. Sometimes on some manufacturers, you'd fill it all the way up to the top of the fill plug, and others you've got one that's a little bit lower. So just be aware of that. That's probably the only instance I can think where you can overfill one is if the weep hole is at a lower position and you don't see it when you're filling it back up. Pennsylvania Ghost Diaries. My solenoid is good. My starter is fine, but it still won't engage the solenoid when I push the start button. Could it be a relay? It's probably not a relay, because a relay in general is usually a device you use when you're trying to transfer a large amount of current with a small switch. So you're already doing that with the solenoid. Your solenoid is basically just a relay anyway. I mean, that's its whole function. But it not engaging would be a symptom of a start circuit interrupt. So it could be a neutral switch. It could be a kickstand switch. You didn't tell me a year, make, and model, so I'm just going to talk in generalities here. Or it could be the actual start switch itself. It could be the run switch, not being in the right position or worn out. So there's several other factors, but the short answer to your question, could it be a relay? No, probably not. Jim Larson. Hey, John, my 2009 Sportsman 850 XP overheats after about 1.5 to 2 hours. The fan is turning on, the radiator is clean, and so is the fluid. What do you think? All right, well, your fan is doing what it's supposed to do. You're telling me your radiator is clean, and then the fluid's good. So that's telling me that it's not circulating the fluid through the system as it should be. So I would take a serious look at your water pump itself. You didn't give me oh yeah, you did give me your make and model on the XP. I'm pretty sure that is just a plastic impeller, if you will, or what circulates the fluid through the water pump. So it makes me wonder if maybe it's lost a fin or two, or maybe it even spun on that shaft that it rides on. So I would say, well, need to take a look at your circulation pump, water pump. Rodney Capers. Hello, sir. As always, a pleasure to watch you work. Always very informative. Well, thank you, Rodney. I have a 2008 Grizzly that I noticed was low on oil, but has no leaks. Could an oil ring be bad? There's a few places that the oil can hide. Usually when it's going, if you're losing a little bit of oil, and all engines are going to burn a little bit, some more than others. But the three places that you can potentially lose it is, and if you don't see any leaks, is your rings. But typically when they start going bad, you start noticing some smoke. However, especially with a stock exhaust, it does a great job of holding back that burning oil inside of the muffler element itself. So sometimes it can hide things as well. Second place is you can lose it going down through your valve stem seals. But once again, that's going into the combustion chamber, and usually that's going to burn off, and you're going to see smoke coming out. Third would be, well, believe it or not, if you've got enough blow-by, sometimes it puts a little bit too much pressure into your crankcase, and your crankcase has to breathe, so sometimes it will spit back into your airbox. So that'd be another place to take a peek to see if your airbox has a nice little layer of oil down under that oil filter. So 3 places you can look. All right, backyard projects. John, how can I tell if your engine is running hot? What symptoms will it have? Also, what do you think about the sticker type engine thermometer? Most of your engines, they're going to have some type of temperature sensor, an alarm system, because that's the number one killer for the most part, is when they overheat, they start to melt down. Your symptoms are going to be, it's going to smell hot, and it's going to lose power, because when it's overheated, it is not running efficiently. The sticker tape, that will tell you when it's really in trouble. Is it very accurate? No, but it will let you know that, oh, right, I'm in trouble, and it will give you a visual representation for that. Other than that, like I said, it's just going to be down on power for the most part, and it's going to smell hot. I know that sounds funny, but if you've ever been around an overheating engine, you will know that smell. You won't be able to forget it. All right, that looks like that catches me up for last week. Let's see if we've got anything for this one. Oh, yeah. Got some good ones here. Eduardo asks, I've got a 2008 YFC 450 and the fan quit working. Any thoughts here? All right, we did a video on this one on my son's. I think this is an 08 or an 09. It was the first year of the fuel injection. And I'm pretty sure we did a video on the fan, what to look for if it's not working. It's a fairly simple circuit, and you've got a temperature sensor, and that basically directly triggers the fan itself. I don't even think there's a relay involved, if I remember correctly. So the way to run this down, I would unplug the fan. There's only one plug, but just be very careful of your polarity, and just get a test battery or just a couple of leads off of your battery. Make sure that your fan is good, and if it's good to go, it's probably the temperature sensor going out on it. So it's going to be one or the other, or the wiring. But more than likely, it's going to be one of those two things. But do check the fuse to make sure. I can't remember if that one has a separate circuit or a separate fuse just for the fan. It probably does. So start with that first. Do a quick test on the fan motor, and then I'd start zeroing in on that temp sensor. Ken is asking me, is there an acceptable amount of play in wheel bearings on a 700 Grizzly? Well, not really. I mean, if you can make it rock and make it, if it has a clicking sound, like that's too much. I mean, they're just supposed to rotate, and they're supposed to hold everything really straight at that point. So no, would be my answer. You shouldn't be able to rock it back and forth. Buzz Clips 2005 asks, I've got a Honda CBR 600RR. On deceleration, as soon as I let off the gas or pull in the clutch, sounds like extremely loud engine braking. Any ideas? All right. Well, by letting off the gas, okay, you're going to get engine braking. But when you pull in the clutch, that should be disconnecting your drivetrain from the engine itself. That's what allows you to switch gears. So that makes me wonder if there's a pretty severe drag happening. I'm surprised that you haven't felt it just on the acceleration part. Maybe a wheel bearing. Something's dragging it back dramatically. If you're letting off the clutch, and then it's trying to draw down, something's dragging. Bearing, maybe a brake is dragging. Simplest way is to lock down your front end, bring up just the back end, and just spin your wheel and see what it's doing. But I'm betting you've picked up a drag somewhere, either from a bearing or maybe a caliper that's holding onto that rear tire just a little bit too much. And check the front one as well. But it seems like she would handle like a demented filler crab if you had one of your front brakes trying to lock down on you. All right, Goldwing Pattern 2014 asks, Honda Goldwing airbag, Canadian. Not going to be familiar with that, but we'll go for it. New neutral light sensor installed. Still somewhat difficult finding neutral while running. No difficulty while engine not running. Clutch not faulty. All right, I've run into this one before. I'm going to ask you, what oil are you running in that one? Because I had a VTX. It was just a 1300, and the guy I bought it from, he just swore up and down and just loved this one particular oil. And I'm not going to name names because I don't want to bash somebody else's favorite oil, but it didn't shift well at all. And I bought it from him, and I was like, dadgummit, I'm gonna have to open up that engine and probably replace a shift fort or one of the main shafts that the gears ride on, because it was just, it feels like it was binding up. I dumped that oil out and went through a couple of oil changes of that Honda GN4 oil, the semi-synthetic, and it cleared it up. So definitely give that a shot with your Gold Wing and see if that straightens it up. But do not use the stuff in the gray bottle that has the Molly in it, and the Gold Wing does not like that at all. So you definitely want to use the gold bottle. 10W 30 or 40, your choice. But give that a shot and see what happens. Apple Jacks ask, when doing a brake fluid flush on a Sportsman 850, being the hand brake activates all brakes, should the rear brake be bled first and then the hand lever then the front? Thanks. It's been a little while, but if I remember correctly, you do the handbrake first up top, because you're right, it is connected together. Then you work your way down to the foot brake and then finish the bleeding down there, if memory serves. Applejacks also asks, what machine have you found to be the most friendly to work on and your least favorite to work on? It's probably one of my favorite machines, but it is just so damn difficult to get to so many parts on it, and that's going to be the Gold Wing. You've got to be really patient to work on one of those machines. If you don't believe me, watch the video that I did on just changing out the air filter on it. The amount that you have to do to pull that shelf apart to get all the way down to an air filter, it's just a little bit insane. Makes me want. I've made this joke several times. I'm pretty sure that the engineer's wife had an affair with a mechanic. Oh boy. Oh, Brodegun Rogers asked me, well, what exhaust manifold? What does an exhaust manifold leak sound like? I have a YZ 450F. Those pipes are a pain. You can hear it all the way up front. It's got that kind of sound where it's trying to escape from around that around the seal, and plus you'll see it it'll start to see if not exhaust but carbon. You'll have carbon start building up around the header itself. Yeah, they can be a pain. Advice to get them to seat right. If you pulled your whole exhaust off, or if you're changing out whatever, leave the rest of the pipe and the exhaust and the muffler, leave it loose, because it's the most critical part is for that alignment to be correct, for it to seal up correctly on the head. Once we're sure that's settled down, then go back and tighten up the rest. Run it for about 3 or 4 hours, let it cool down, and torque those bolts one more time, and that should take care of it. All right, looks like we've got 2 more. Levi Mayer 044 asks, I have a 1986 Honda CM 200T. All the electrics stopped working. I'm getting 0 power when I turn the key. All right, 86 is going back a couple of years, so I'm not going to know that one off the top of my head. But the typical things you want to look for are, well, one, make sure your battery's good to go. Check your connections, both on your positive and your negative. Follow the negative down to the frame. Make sure that connection's good. Then go from your power to your fuse box. Check your fuses. See if any of them are blown. Sounds like your primary one has left the building if everything else checks out. It's just process of elimination. There is no magic. There it is. No, you just keep checking things until there it is. All right, looks like we've got one more. Rogers also asked, the 2015 CanAm Maverick keeps breaking rear axles. I can believe that. I mean, they're decent axles, but if you're really going to push these machines hard, instead of replacing, and you know I'm a big OEM fan, but if you're going to push them hard, and especially if you've got larger rims and tires, and that's putting more torque on it, or maybe you're putting it in a really, really tough environment, and it's just too much for the stock wants to handle, consider going with the Demon axles. I've been using them for about 3 or 4 years now, and they just do extremely well. As a matter of fact, they are what's on that YXZ that's about to roll out the door here in just a few minutes. I bet you John's probably on the outside of the door, just waiting for me to wrap up so he can come get his baby and play with it. All right, guys, they're telling me wrap. So anything else that that you may send in, we will jot it down, and I will kick off next week with hopefully the correct answers for whatever you're asking me. Well, a bunch of good questions today, and we just want to say thanks for swinging by, spending a little time, helping me do a test and a quick tour or walk around of the studio. And everybody have a great weekend, a great Easter weekend. Remember the season, the reason for the season. Everybody have a great weekend, a great week. And God willing, we will see you next Friday at 3. Y'all take care.